Yeah, I don't really know how to start this thing. I don't even know if I'm like comfortable in front of a camera yet. I've got bugs flying around me. Um, it's kind of awkward, talking to a camera. You don't know if you're talking to anybody because God knows who's gonna watch this. Um, and yeah, but that doesn't matter because I'm Charlie and I want to talk about music discourse in the big year of 2025 and why I think that's kind of a problem. As somebody who's really passionate about music, sometimes might call myself nerdy or snobby. I'm the kind of guy you don't like to talk about music to, but that's fine because I like talking about music. And there lies the main problem. I love talking about music. If I could have infinite conversations about uh, different music things, I would. I really enjoy it. But I feel like with most people in this day and age, I really struggle to have interesting conversations about music with, and it's hard because you know you got to know who's interested in music to begin with, because you can be into music but not really like take it super seriously, and that's fine. Like I don't know much about like freaking dance. I don't know. And like, but for some people, that's their whole life. And, I'm not saying like you need to be into music if you want to talk about it, because you can still have decent conversations without taking music like super seriously. Like, you can still reason with me as to why Benson Boone is your favorite artist, even though he's like dog shit, but that's not up to me to decide. Um, you can still have a reason and explain it to me, and then I'd be like, I that makes like that makes sense. I respect that. Benson Boone's not for me. Moonbeam ice cream shit, not me, not my cup of tea. And like from what I've seen, it's not everybody's cup of tea. And there lies another issue. A lot of people can't talk about music without bringing up like, oh yeah, To Pimp a Butterfly is the best album of all time because like Rate Your Music says so, or fucking any site says so. Anthony Fantano said it's the greatest album of the last decade. Like every hip hop fan ever, like, oh, you're racist if you don't like this album. Like, no, it doesn't matter who likes this album, because at the end of the day, it's your taste and you need to like embrace that. And that's like, that's a battle that I've struggled with for quite a while. I'm a very passive person and I like to hear people out, and I often like put others in front of myself. Uh, I don't know why. It's my nature, but I've been working on that because, you know, I want to lead my own life and fuck the bugs. Um, yeah, so like I feel like there's no string attaching all of my points right now. I'm just kind of rambling, and that's fine. Because this is low stakes anyways. I just want to talk about this. But yeah, a lot of people like can't form their own opinions because they're worried about like, you know, um, being shat on for having their own opinion. Like, I just shat on whoever likes Benson Boone for liking Benson Boone, but it's totally fine to like Benson Boone. Um, it's not because me, who takes music seriously, um, like whatever that even means. Like it's not because I don't like him that anybody else can't like him. And like people really like need that validation sometimes. I feels like, especially within the Kendrick Lamar versus Drake beef. Like that is stupid how the fans are accusing each other of being dick riders of their own things. And like, how is that an insult? Like, how are you insulted by liking an artist? And why is that considered an attack? Like, you're allowed to have your own personal bias, and like normalize it. Like, people, like, I hear people talking about Anthony Fantano too, and like, oh yeah, his opinions are shit. He's just like, he talks about them to be objective, but like, first of all, I don't like really agree with that. Like, I mean, he says all the time, uh, this is my opinion, whatever. I don't know exactly how he says it, um, but it's not that deep. Like, he just has a big following because he does a good job, even though some people will like argue that he doesn't. But he does a good job at what he does, and there's a reason he has a massive following. Um, anyway, this is not to talk about Anthony Fantano. It's just, people take his opinion really seriously, and you know, they'll start to change their opinion to, follow his bias. But some people will be completely against everything he says, and like, as soon as he gives something like the new Clips album or Brat, like whatever, To Pimp a Butterfly a 10, they'll just be like, to anybody who likes that album, well, you just like it because Fantano likes it or something like that. But it's just not that deep. You're allowed to like the same thing, and if your bias does fall within Anthony Fantano's, that's also kind of fine too. I feel like people will have a problem with enjoying the same music as somebody else. There's a reason why you end up liking that music anyways. Like, you just form kind of like their opinion, like you start kind of indulging into their listening habits, and as weird as it sounds, like, it's fine. It doesn't mean you don't have an opinion. You need to be able to like tell me why you like that album, and not just recite Fantano's points, but you're allowed to like the album as much as him. You're allowed to like the album as much as anybody, and it's not because everybody says it's good that it makes you boring for also really liking that album. That's another thing. It's like, especially within the Rate Your Music universe, people will constantly like just drop bombs on albums because they've received high scores and are gaining traction, and like maybe one of their favorite albums is like has a higher score, sorry, a lower score than the album that just dropped that like has a 4.0 or whatever, and they're mad about it, so they're just gonna drop a 0 stars and write a stupid ass review saying, oh, I don't get the hype. It's like, sure, you don't get the hype, but does that justify 0 stars? Maybe it does. Like, maybe you have a real reason to not like it, and that's fine. But like, I feel like just saying I don't get the hype and then dropping 0 out of 10 is just a toxic way of talking about music. You're not really talking about anything. You don't get the hype, so you give it a 0. I don't know. Like, and I'm not like, maybe you don't get the hype, and maybe it is a 0 out of 10 to you. I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit of a toxic way to put it out there, and maybe it's because I disagree. And maybe there lies the problem. Maybe it's because I don't feel like it's a 0 out of 10. And maybe if I thought it was a 0 out of 10 and I didn't get the hype, maybe it would be fine with me. But I don't know. Maybe I'm a hypocrite. Uh, yeah. And it's just like, I've seen that with the recent Quadeca album, which I love the hell out of. Like, I just see people saying like I've seen somebody verbally saying like on a music reviewing site, like, I don't get the hype of this album. You guys are just dick riding him, so I'm gonna give it a 0 to balance out the rating. You're just artificially changing your opinion just because other people like it more than you do. Like, why can't you just be honest? Why does it matter what this virtual number means? And like, it kind of does matter to some people, and to me too. Like, I really struggled a lot of my life, and still like now, having my own opinion about things because of my passive nature, and just being kind of a people pleaser. um I care a lot about what people think about me, and well, I care to some extent, at least. But I'm trying to get better with that, and that's why like I'm in front of this camera right now, because I just need to talk about things that are on my mind, because things are on my mind and I don't really care. Maybe I'm articulating myself really badly. Maybe my opinion is completely wrong, but then again, it's just my opinion. So my opinion can't be wrong. You see, that's just me being unconfident and just not being able to accept my own opinion, which I struggle with. So when I'm making this video, like, I'm not like trying to point out specific demographics of people. Like, I'm not just trying to target Fantano dick riders or like rate your music aficionados. Like, I'm mostly saying this for myself, honestly, because that was a weird bug. Yeah, another one of the main problems I have with music discourse at the moment is uh, just how, well, I mean, this is not like a problem with music discourse. I guess this is just like a personal thing where, when I have conversations about music, I wish people would talk more about this. So this is less of a problem, more of a, you know, something I wish there were more of. And that's just, saying more than, yeah, I like this album. Do you like it? And then the other person either says yes or no. And then you guys just exchange a bunch of albums. You're like, oh yeah, you like that album too. That's cool. It's not like a, what do you like about that album? What makes that album special to you? Like, when did you discover it? What point in your life um, did this album or song, whatever, what point did this artist become something for you? And, you know, how often do you listen to them? Like, is it something that you listen to every day, or it's like that one album that, you love deep down to your core, but it's just heavy and like, or you can only play it in certain circumstances that feel right for you, but it's like your 10 out of 10 that like undebatably will like never move. um I don't know if that makes sense. It's just, I wish there was more of those like little back and forths about, our favorite music. Or sometimes like, we'll hear somebody say like, oh yeah, I really don't like that new Sabrina Carpenter album. And I'm like, what didn't you like about it? So that also leads into the point of like, disliking music, and how it's very hard to dislike music, and why there's like, it's hard to talk about disliking music because people get so defensive, like their taste is so um close to them that it's like you'll stop hearing about the other person's opinion. Like, I messed with the new Sabrina Carpenter album, even though, or new, but like whatever, the Espresso album, short and sweet. Like, I thought that album was okay, but a lot of like the people I would generally talk music about are like, more nerdy, and like that's just like a generic ass pop album to them. And that's fine. They don't have to like it. I like it. But when I say that, I like the new Sabrina Carpenter, it's like, oh, you like the new Sabrina Carpenter. It's like weird. But it shouldn't be, It you're allowed to like a new album. Similarly to, talking about favorite albums, talking about music that you dislike is difficult. Um, Similar thing, like people won't ask the right question, or they won't ask questions. They'll more get defensive about their own taste. Like, if somebody messes with a unpopular to like album, I don't know, just example, or you know or sorry, a popular album to like that somebody dislikes. Like, let's just say, uh, for the sake of this, like, OK Computer by Radiohead. That's a widely liked album. It's just, generally accepted as a good album. But, some people might really hate it. And, I used to be really big into Radiohead, and then I listened to too much Radiohead, and then I was no longer into Radiohead. Not to say that they're bad, just I'm not into them, but say, like, a few years back when I was really into them, and somebody might have said, like, OK Computer is bad, maybe I would strike them with the, what? But the album is good, or like, why do you, like, that makes no sense. Like, you're just trolling, whatever. It's hard to, like, you don't ask why you think it's bad, or maybe you do ask why you think it's bad, and they're like, it's not for me. But, like, the biggest part is getting over the fact that, it's not for everybody. But some people will be like, that's not for you. Like, what do you mean? Like, they don't understand that, not everybody has to think it's good. And you get defensive over the fact that, like, this might be your favorite album of all time, and somebody doesn't like it. But, you're not made to share the same exact opinion as everybody. I don't know. It's just silly. And it's not like, oh, interesting, like, what about the album did you not like? Like, I get it that it's not for you, but, like, what about it's not for you? Like, do you not like the style of music? Do you not like the vocals? Do the lyrics not touch you? Like, do you think there's errors in the production or the sequencing? Like, what about it's not for you? Like, we don't really seek to understand. We just, like, want to get over it as quickly as possible. Like, oh, yeah, okay, well, let's talk about, like, an album you do like. What album do you like? And, that's a fine question, but, there's something to be talked about in the fact that, you need to confront the idea that this person doesn't like this album that you love. You're not curious as to why? Like, I don't know. Sometimes, like, my favorite artist of all time is LCD Sound System, and people in my program at one point were, like, bullying the lead singer for having a Kermit voice, and, I totally don't understand it because I don't hear it. But, like, I don't think they were actually saying that he was, like, that's necessarily a bad band, but it's just, I was getting, like, super defensive about the fact that this guy has a Kermit voice when I don't think he does. And, I'm not really, I wasn't really seeking at the time more about their thoughts on the music. Like, I was mostly defensive about the guy's voice. I don't really remember how those conversations went exactly. I do think that they genuinely do like LCD Sound System, the people I was talking with, and they're a notoriously, like, white fan base band, and I am totally part of that stereotype. I will dance at the function if there's some LCD Sound System. But yeah, like, I fuck with them. And I got defensive. All that to say, we get defensive about our opinions, even though, like, well, like, why aren't we welcoming everybody's opinions? Why are we trying to convince other people that, like, your favorite artist is also theirs? Not necessarily true, I feel like this goes with more than just music, but I want to talk about it in the music context, so that's where I'm talking about it. Anyway, but yeah, this, like, struggle to dislike albums, or talking about disliking albums, I feel is like, extends more than just, not talking about, or not asking the right questions, or not, like, being curious as to why people dislike this album, or, artist, whatever. Like, the thing about disliking music online as well is, people will insult you for your bad take, and, like, they'll stalk your profile and they'll be like, yeah, coming from you, that makes total sense, even though it's like totally respectable to no, oh wow, I just noticed the moon in the back. That looks really nice. Like, yeah, it looks, I thought it was the recording little logo. It's not. Anyway, off track. Yeah, people will just jump on others for liking. Oh my god, notifications are annoying. They will just jump on other people for dislike. Like, you know, it's just cultish behavior, like thinking about something like the Swifties, where it's like, you know, you insult Taylor Swift. I mean, I don't even know how accurate this is. I don't know if I've actually had an interaction where like a Swiftie gets really offended by a bad take on Taylor Swift, but like people will cultishly praise certain people, and I mean, it's fine to be a fan, it's fine to have somewhat of a cult following, but it's like not okay to bully people out of their opinions for these things. And it's fine to share online that you don't like something. I see that too in like IG reels, where like small artists promoting like oftentimes not the greatest music, but hey, it's music for somebody out there, you know, and they're testing the waters, and people will say mean things about the music, like unrelease this shit goes hard on mute. um I mean, most of the time it does go harder on mute, but that's besides the point. It's just people can't take the criticism, and sometimes people don't really criticize, and they more insult by saying like this shit is better on mute. Like, I don't know, I've seen myself given feedback sometimes, but artists can't hear it, you know. I mean, this is just a problem for artists in general, and this has been a thing like since the beginning of music criticism, where artists can't take the thing. So I guess this is like kind of unrelated to the point of this whole video, so I'm just gonna stop talking about it because I want to stay focused on my thing. But yeah, again, I'm Charlie, and all I wanted to do was just quickly rant about you know, music discourse, because I want to on my course of music. I want to, yeah, I want to talk about music with you guys. I don't know when's the next time I will talk about more music by myself, because nobody wants to talk about music with me. I have a couple ideas of videos. I want to do a couple reviews of some albums that I really enjoy, and hopefully persuade you guys into not having your own opinion, and just have a cult following that just copies all of my opinions. Anyway, that's all I want to say. Bye.